Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got it!
Another one! Another one!
Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. Welcome back to day 2 and the final day of the 2022 Big Ten Football Media Days, as we're coming to you live from Lucas Oil Stadium as we've moved the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios a little bit to the northeast. Dustin Schutte back with me as well. Great day yesterday, first of all, for us at least. It was awesome getting to talk to Coach Allen, Taiwan Mullen, Cam Jones, and A.J. Barner, both expected to produce for Indiana this year, especially A.J. Barner would be a surprise because he's an unknown, number one. Number two, he's playing on the offense, which we know nothing about, Dustin. And then the defense, I would not be surprised if they are a tough customer for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Taiwan Mullen's an All-American, and he's an undersized All-American. So when you're an All-American at his size, that's a lot of want-to, man. And in talking to him, you can get that. They heard nothing but great things about Cam Jones is going to be a 3-time captain. That doesn't happen, man. So that's nuts. So we'll go back and listen to those if you didn't get to hear them. Those there. And also today, looking forward, you'll get to hear from the head man, Scott Dolson, Indiana's athletic director. So looking forward to that. Also, the CEO of the Peach Bowl is going to join us. So looking forward to that. They have, was it 1.2 billion?
It was like 1.2. Yeah, 2.
Little Joe, the producer, researcher up here today. But yeah, they have since he took over like 90. What was it, 91 or 98?
Somewhere in there.
Like 98, but over $1 billion they've made. And
Wow.
But then I saw they do this big golf outing north of Georgia at this nice place, and I'm like thinking my eyes were getting big. I'm like, oh yeah. Then I saw it was, yeah, we do this for the coaches with no media, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, trust me, don't. I'm not media when I'm there. We can strike that. We know how to strike that chord. I know what off the record is. So yeah, looking forward to talking to him as well. The Peach Bowl is one of the semifinal games this year. So you've got that. The Peach Bowl used to be an average ordinary bowl. I went to it twice. Is Indiana played Auburn, and I believe it was Tennessee. So we'll talk about that. A lot of visits on the IU basketball side going on this week as Jamie Kaiser, I think, yeah, his visit's wrapping up today. It's been going, I understand it's gone pretty well. He's supposed to go to UCLA, and I'm hearing that possibly might not happen now, which would be a great sign for Indiana. Indiana's the biggest challenge to Maryland on that, so that could come down to those two. And Jamie Kaiser is definitely a player of Indiana. Kravitz, the shooter. You've got Arrington Page. His visit starts today, and so that'll go through tomorrow, which then Deshaun Harris Smith then comes in. So he was on Team Takeover. They lost in the finals in the Peach Jam, Dustin. So 3 gigantic visits in back-to-back succession for Indiana. And they have a shot at all 3 of them. And I'm not usually that positive about stuff, but they could hit a triple crown here. Woody could land all 3 of those guys because they're not really competing against each other as much as would be fitting into nice pieces. And wow, if they are looking ahead at what they also have coming in with Gabe Cup, so we'll talk about that. He played against Bronny James last night, and Ja'Kai Newton, and what is already going to be at Indiana with guys like Jalen Hood-Schifino, Malik Renaud, and CJ Gunn, and all the guys that came in this year and that will still be there. That talent is starting to stack up for Indiana basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it would be quite the feather in the cap for Mike Woodson. I mean, he's already done an excellent job recruiting. He's done an excellent job in the transfer portal. Obviously, we saw what he was able to do last season, getting Indiana back to the tournament. But this is the time of year when everything really kicks back up. We just talked about, or we usually talk about over the summer in like May, June, early July, how things are slowing down. There isn't much to talk about. Baseball and the golf majors, really the only things going on. And now all of a sudden you get into those nitty-gritty recruiting battles. You've got some AAU and travel basketball going on. You're at Big Ten Media Days. Football's just around the corner. This is like the tidal wave that hits you, that you're just waiting on it to come. And we're finally here. Everything's happening all at once, baby. We're about to be real busy.
Oh, real busy as in 7 days a week.
Right.
And so that's up from 6 days a week. So, but that's okay. We love it. Right. But yeah, looking forward to it, man. I think I told Joe, the producer, yesterday, I said, man, Big Ten basketball media days will be here like that.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be back in Cambridge Fieldhouse for that. That would be great. But I noticed a couple of coaches yesterday talked about how great it was to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Harbaugh said, "Oh, it's great just being having it in a stadium atmosphere." Of course,
yeah,
he can look across at his name. Why is his name in the Ring of Honor for the Colts? Can somebody tell me that? 94 to 97. What did he do in that period that was so unbelievably outstanding?
You got to save that question for Matt Taylor. That's a great question for him on Thursday. But what, to me, growing up, I remember Jim Harbaugh, like the Colts were irrelevant in my mind until he showed up in Indianapolis. So I remember a few weeks ago after Tony Siragusa passed away, like that was my first memory of going to a Colts game was sitting beside a guy who created an origami goose and wrote Tony Siragusa on it because he was my favorite player back then. But that's what I tie my early Colts fandom to, is Jim Harbaugh. So I feel like he was the guy before the guy, in my opinion. He was the guy that got kind of the ball rolling, made Indianapolis relevant, and then all of a sudden Peyton Manning took over. That's my opinion. Maybe some other
I wasn't around here then. I was off elsewhere.
I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many playoff games he won. I don't know. Obviously, they didn't get to a Super Bowl. They didn't win a Super Bowl. But you go back to, I think it was the 95 season when they had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. He earned the moniker Captain Comeback. So I don't know if you look at the statistics and what they did on the field, I don't know if it would be worthy of a Ring of Honor, more so as just kind of he was the quarterback that kind of got the ball rolling in Indianapolis. That's how I perceive it anyway. I could be completely wrong on that. If anybody
there must be something like that because it's up there. I mean, it's kind of a short run, as I'm looking across it as the others. It's a pretty short run.
A lot of those guys are up there they're there for a while. I mean,
and that's why I was like, okay, man, he wasn't here that long. I was like, what could he have possibly have done in that short of time? But those other ones.
That's always why too. That's always why too. His name, if the Colts have a job opening, which I know they haven't had a ton recently, but if there's ever a job opening with the Colts, his name is one of the few that pops up because of that, perceived relationship with Jim Irsay, with his name in the Ring of Honor, obviously having lived and played in Indianapolis. That's just always why his name is tied to that job, whether or not there's any substance to those rumors year in, year out. But that's just part of it. And he's always going to get that because of his success with the 49ers and his experience in the NFL. But I don't know. I want to see what the average time spent in Indianapolis would be for that Ring of Honor, because that's got to bring down the median, I would think.
Well, I could do it after we get off, because I'd have to sit here and do the math. That's not going to happen right now. But we get to talk to the Peach Bowl CEO later on. I mentioned that. I'm hoping that they bring us like automatic credentials.
There you go.
Just get to go. I'm gonna tell him. Hey, I said, hey, I'm gonna come down this year. Don't forget to tell your credential people. So that would be fun. I've been to like I said, I've been to the Peach Bowl before, but when I went, it was, oh my gosh, where did the Braves used to play back in the day, man?
Turner Field.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but what was it before that? Fulton County Stadium,
Yes,
wasn't it?
Fulton County Stadium.
Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Yeah, yep.
Now that's going back before there were no stadium names. It was Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. That's all it was, and that's where I saw 2 Peach Bowls. But looking forward to getting on that.
I just want to chime in and obviously talk about this later, but the Peach Bowl does marketing better than probably any bowl game because of their tie-ins with the college football playoff, because of their tie-ins with Chick-fil-A, and it's all right there in Atlanta. They have an excellent marketing campaign. They have an excellent strategy. That's why you talked about it was just, it was just like your typical bowl, just like a Music City Bowl or the Outback Bowl, but their marketing campaign is up so well. Not only do they have the Peach Bowl at the end of the season, and now it's going to be part of the college football playoff semifinal, but they've also got that kickoff classic that they do every year. So they have really done an excellent job to open the season, to close the season, and really promoting that bowl. It's become one of the must-watch bowl games every year. I mean, look, last year it was Pitt and Michigan State, and it was one of the best games of the postseason.
Looking forward to talking to Gary Stokan, the CEO for that. Rick Bozich, Bob Kravitz also going to join us today as well. In addition to hearing from Scott Dolson, Indiana's athletics director. First time for him being on the show. So looking forward to that as well, as we are in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium for the 2022 Big Ten football media days. Didn't mention earlier, brought to you by our good friends from the Wow Club. Make sure you go to either your Google Play Store, Apple Apps, or Google Play or Apple App Store, either one. Sign up for the Wow Club today. They are a primary sponsor of IU Athletics as well as Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So I implore you to go sign up. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. But they are a supporter of ours, and they help us bring this content to you guys every day. So do us a favor and sign up. Cost you nothing, but it will help us and makes us look a lot better. Also, head on if you're in the Bloomington area, wherever. Make sure you stop by BB's Market. Get you some steaks to grill, baby. I've been in there. It's delicious. The sausages, the pork chops, yum. I'm enjoying throwing. I got a new little Weber grill. And I've just been using the crap out of it.
Nice.
I've always had those big grills, and it's like makes you not want to use it. Now I'm like, well, I'll use this thing all the time, and I do. So make sure you reach out to them, and don't forget our friends at Andy Moore Honda as well, the #1 Honda dealer in Bloomington. We're back with the great Bob Kravitz after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
Hello, Robert.
Good morning. You're getting me with a blazing hangover.
Oh, really?
Last night was Mike Wells going away soiree. He's going down to IU to be an instructor.
Oh, yeah.
For a professor. God help those kids. And we may have been overserved.
That can happen.
It's been a long time since that happened to me, but whatever.
I'm trying to find my.
Never too old to be overserved, right?
Exactly. I'm 62. I still got plenty of good years of overserving left in me.
Don't freak out, John. I'm going to switch over to my hotspot.
That's fine.
When I find it.
I feel like you're already on it. You have good service today. Yesterday
Well,
when you started, you didn't.
I heard it's starting to glitch, so I let's see what you on. How are you doing, Bob? I thought you may come out.
Hungover? Fine, man. Just fine.
I thought you may come out to here.
What's that?
I thought you might come out to the
It's the Colts open today, and Ballard was available yesterday, and a couple of players, and camp starts this morning or this afternoon. So I'm gonna I blew it off. I'll get plenty of opportunities to talk to Brahm and Allen as we move on.
Yes. Yes.
How you doing, Dustin?
I'm doing all right, Bob. I'm not hungover, so I might be in a little bit better state than you at the moment.
Well,
but,
feel free to save me whenever you feel like it.
Gotcha, will do.
I thought you were going to say to join the festivities.
Yeah.
No, we went to St. Augustine, my brother and I, about a week ago. And if you ever go to St. Augustine Distillery, if you're a fan of bourbon, they give you up to 7 different samples, and they're pretty good portion samples. So you can have a pretty good afternoon, and it's all free.
Oh, that's nice. That sounds like a plan.
But
I did not have 7 bourbons last night. More like 5-6 beers and a shot or two.
Okay.
Which used to be like the warm-up act for me, but now it's just,
right.
Now it affects me more profoundly.
All right, boys and girls. Jim, are you not switching over?
No.
Are you back, Jim? All right, here we go.
We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Wednesday. Jim Coyle with you as always, coming to you from Lucas Oil Stadium as we're at the 2022 Big Ten Football Media Days. Bob Kravitz is joining us now from The Athletic. Dustin Schutte already with me as we try to get him as often as possible. Bob, how are you, man?
Well, as I was explaining before we came on the air, last night was Mike Wells' farewell soiree. So being the irresponsible lout that I am, I may have been overserved and feel less than 100% this morning. But feel free to pepper me with your questions, sir.
That can happen. That especially on those.
It doesn't happen very much anymore. It used to with frightening regularity.
Tends to hurt a little more. Tends to hurt a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up in the middle of the night and your head is pounding, and you're like, "What in the hell did I do? Why did I have that shot? It was a green shot, for God's sake. A shot's bad enough, but when it's green, that's trouble. You're begging for trouble."
That sounds like something that John Daly, he used to drink Midori sours.
Yeah.
And I remember that was green, I think.
Yes, Midori, yes. I don't know what the heck was in this, but it worked.
Mike down in French Lick, man. Tim says you need a Bloody Mary. It's a Bloody Mary morning, and she left me without warning sometime in the night.
It's not bad.
Hey, Bob's got enough of a headache this morning. He doesn't need you singing into his ear, Jim.
Exactly right. Thank you.
That is a good point. I will concur with that. Well, I am at the Big Ten Media Days, and one thing that came out yesterday is that UCLA and USC will enter as full members.
Right.
And I did some research, and Nebraska, Rutgers, and Maryland all had to wait 6 years for that distinction, and were paid much less than the regular Big Ten members, which is going to be an even bigger deal now because they'll get to come in as full members on the new contract, new TV contract,
Right.
Which we were expecting it to be $100 million. So that is beyond a windfall for those two teams.
Oh, absolutely. And look, they had to do things to make sure that UCLA and USC came over. I mean, I think when you're going after Rutgers and Maryland, you're like, you play by our rules. But when you're going after USC and UCLA, you play by their rules because you're the one who's reaching out to them, trying to sway them to join your Big 16 conference or whatever we're calling it now. And it sounds like they're not done expanding either, so that could get interesting.
Yeah, they were of course. Well, they're waiting for Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame is the only. Yeah. There's no reason to expand for them. There's no reason for the Big Ten to expand right now. They have what they need. They have all the major markets, which nobody else has. They have the brands that they have. Notre Dame is the only true program that could move the needle that's not in a major TV market.
Right.
They're in South Bend, Indiana, which I guess you could say Chicago may, but Big Ten kind of already has Chicago.
Yes, with Northwestern.
They're based there. So
yeah, it's a weird deal. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my mind around Rutgers and Maryland and and Nebraska in the Big Ten. So this is a little much for me. But I wonder, and I don't know if this is a fair comment or not. That's never stopped me before. That's a lot of traveling, man. If it's supposed to be, about the kids' welfare and academics and graduating and doing your homework, blah, blah, blah. Those are long trips.
Dustin, I think that for the Olympic sports, you'll call them, they're going to do mass events. They're going to have big, large, multi-team events to minimize travel. For the big events, they talked about Northwestern and Nebraska leaving to go to Dublin, Ireland to play, and they're loving every second of it. And Tom Allen said the kids he's talked to, they were all excited about it.
Because they don't do homework.
Well, no, but you still got to do homework. But the kids seem to love it, and I think that they'll find a way to minimize the travel for the Olympic sports. You have to. It's not financially smart not to.
Right. When you're getting your volleyball team, your Rutgers volleyball team, and they're going out to play USC, that makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. And I would think that there has been arrangements along those lines so that they won't have to. But even for football, I mean, these are 4 or 5 hour flights from East Coast to West Coast. I know they don't have the middle seat on Frontier, but still, it takes away from the academic experience, which they claim is important.
And I don't know that it affects the current 14 teams in the Big Ten, because you're talking about you're going to have to go out west just one time, whereas opposed to USC or UCLA, they're going to have to probably come to Big Ten country 4 or 5 times. So I think that there's a legit, like when Pat Fitzgerald says we're going to Ireland, yeah, you're making that one trip. That's going to be the same for a lot of the Big Ten teams as it stands now. But I think the teams that are most hurt by that are going to be USC and UCLA. And you brought up a good point, Bob. I don't know on the football side, it's probably a little bit more manageable because it's on Saturday and you can schedule the game later and you can probably adjust your schedule. But during basketball season, for volleyball games, for some of those other sports, that's where it's going to be really tough.
I mean, the wear and tear. I realize they're 20 years old, but the wear and tear on your body making those trips all the way out to LA to play USC and UCLA, and then getting right back after the game and coming all the way. I mean, that's taxing. And then you got to get up the first thing next morning and go to physics class. I don't think so. I'm not making that class. That's
I'm sure they'll have tutors for the money that's coming in. They'll be able to afford tutors for every student almost.
Well, yes, of course they will, and they'll do what they have to do to make sure the education piece is handled the right way. But I'm just telling you that these are I realize young people are very resilient and they can handle stuff that old farts like me can't. But if it's supposed to be about the academics, and let's face it, 99% of these guys ain't gonna play in the NFL or the NBA, then I think this is an additional stressor to them in their college experience.
I disagree, because when I was in college, I had enough time that there's enough time to study. Plus, they're going to make.
Did you do 40 hours a week of football practice?
No, but I had to work. I did other things.
Yeah.
But they're going to have things that I did not have. They're going to have all kinds of, like I talked about, having tutors and things made easier for you. Your assignments gathered up for you, and here you go. So it's going to be made as easy as possible for them to make sure that they're getting the education, because that wouldn't work, and it would make the Big Ten look really bad if they did not do that.
It's all about the money. It's always been all about the money. It's just like the Live Golf Tour.
Extreme, baby.
I was going to say, I'm kind of in the middle between you guys. The one thing that's always kind of bothered me about college athletics, and there was a podcast, I think Joshua Perry produced it, kind of talking about that 2014 Ohio State National Championship team. There's a lot of student athletes who don't get to pursue maybe a career that they really enjoy, or they because of the conflicts with practice or competition and things like that. And so that's where I would agree with Bob. I'm concerned that maybe there's going to be even more courses or even more major avenues that they're not going to be able to pursue because of you have these now additional long distance flights or long distance travel plans. So obviously there's online education, obviously there's tutors, so they're going to get it figured out. But that's always been a piece of the academic side of it that I've never been a big fan of. You're asking somebody to, do you want to play sports? Yeah, but well, then you can't pursue so-and-so degree, and you're kind of out of luck after that.
Right. Agreed.
What's up next for you, Bob? I know you're heading out. Are you working on mostly Colts stuff right now?
Yeah, all Colts. Yesterday, Chris Ballard and a couple of players talked to the media. Today is the first practice at Grand Park at noon. Shaquille Leonard. Don't call him Darius anymore. He won't be out there. A couple of players are on PUP, but obviously Leonard's the big one. But I'll tell you what. Last year, the first words out of Chris Ballard's mouth were Frank Reich has COVID. And it never got any better. Then it was, Wentz's foot and Quentin Nelson's foot. And there's one thing after another. This might be the most normal year they're going to have in a long time.
My foot hurts. I'm not kidding. It does.
Okay. Well, I feel bad for your foot.
A lot of walking yesterday, but even though it was on turf, I was thinking, it's like, damn it, my foot hurts after. It's a lot of walking when you're here. That's the one thing about this thing. It's a lot of walking. You are constantly walking, and if you're out on the concourse, then you're like, all right, where am I? Which way am I going?
Wait, how did we go from the Colts to your foot?
I don't know. Foot injuries.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Well, it's a long walk from where that media is stationed back to the snack room when you make a lot of different trips back and forth. That was always my problem.
No snacks. No snacks here, baby. But back to the Colts. Injuries were a huge problem for them last year, but that's a problem for
everybody
sports team, especially a football team. I mean, that's the thing that how many teams get hurt in spring or in preseason. It's just It's amazing when you see that stuff happen. But if the Colts can get through camp healthy and all of that, they they should be expected to compete for the division title. I think.
Well, they haven't won the division title since Ballard and Reich have been here, which is really a demerit on their record. But if they're ever going to do it, this is the year, because you've got Tennessee. Derrick Henry's coming back from injury. He's moving up. He's I think 32 now, or he's close to 30 anyway. You have to expect that he's going to slow down some. They lost the wide receiver Wilson, AJ Brown. Excuse me. They lost AJ Brown, and I think the Colts have really helped themselves. Yannick Ngakoue has gone 6 straight seasons with 8 sacks or more. And that he's going to give the Colts something they haven't had since Robert Mathis was here, a real pass rush threat. So, adding Stephon Gilmore, they've done a lot of good things. I think if they stay healthy, relatively healthy, reasonably healthy, they ought to win 11 games and win the AFC South.
I agree. Go ahead, Dustin.
I was going to say, and the thing that gives, I think, more Colts fans optimism is obviously getting Matt Ryan, and not just because of the name and because of his experience, but because you're not putting nearly the amount, or shouldn't have to put nearly the amount of pressure on Jonathan Taylor. And over the course of the season, with the life expectancy of a running back in today's NFL, you almost don't want them to run for 1,800 yards. Yeah, it looks good in the stat column. Yeah, it's going to get him Pro Bowl honors and that sort of thing. But at the same time, the more balance you're able to have, the more you're able to protect your running back. I think it's going to be better over the course of what's now a 17-game season, and then if the Colts are able to get into the playoffs.
Right. I agree. I wrote that column about a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that, that if he runs for, 2,000 or some absurd reason, Colts are not going to be very good.
Right.
I think the less he runs for, the better the Colts are going to be, because that means they've got a more dynamic and diverse offense. Mm-hmm. It means they're getting the ball to Naheem. It means they're getting it to their wide receivers, who still scare me to death. Outside of Michael Pittman, I don't know who they have there. And, they're not going to go after Julio Jones. T.Y., who knows? If he shows up, I have no reason to expect that the old T.Y. will ever be back. So it's an interesting proposition. I do think they're going to be a pretty good team. I think their defense is really going to be good.
Sticking on the Colts theme, earlier before you were with us, I looked up and I thought this yesterday. Jim Harbaugh is in the Ring of Honor. You had a piece recently about Andrew Luck. Does he deserve up there? And I asked, because I don't know, what did Jim Harbaugh do in that short of a time to deserve a spot in the Ring of Honor? Because that's a short stint, and we talked about it.
4 years. It was 4 years. I think he was here for 4 years. He got them to the AFC Championship game. It was the first real sniff of big time success for the Indianapolis Colts, not Baltimore, but Indy. And I think they jumped the gun. I think they had low standards starting out. And God bless Billy Brooks. I love the man. He was a very fine player, but he never made a Pro Bowl. What's he doing up there? Well, Dickerson only had 2 good years in Indianapolis. He had a great career, but he had 2 years and then fell off the map. What I'm saying with Andrew is, let's raise the standard. Standard was raised with those teams in the 2000s, and we're not in a situation anymore, because the Colts are not in a situation where anybody who knows how to tie his shoes gets into the Ring of Honor. You've got to be super special, and you need to have had longevity. So if you want to say, well, Jim Harbaugh's up there, Andrew Luck should be up there. Well, yeah, duh. I mean, that's obvious. But I just don't. I think the standard has changed, and it should change.
Do you think so I take it then you think the Pacers do it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do too.
You got to be.
You might want to explain that, Dustin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they've only got, is it 6 now? 6 or 7 in the rafters, and it's you would ask me off the top of my head, what is it? It's Mel Brooks, Reggie Miller, Bobby Leonard,
Mel Daniels,
Mel Brooks.
If Mel Brooks was in there, that would be hysterical.
Hey, I've only had one cup of coffee this morning, Bob.
Mel Brooks deserves to be in there.
But they only have – you have to have had longevity. You've had to have had major success with the franchise, and that's why you don't see guys like Rick Smits or Dale Davis or some of those other guys that I think – Jermaine O'Neal. I think that there's a – they honor those guys –
it's not germane to the situation.
In the lobby. They honor those guys out in the lobby. But to get a banner hung for the Indiana Pacers, you've had to have made significant contributions. And those guys did, but not at the same level as Mel Daniels, Bobby Slick Leonard, Reggie Miller, some of those other guys up there. So to me, like that's what the Hall of Fame kind of is supposed to be, right? People make the argument that now it's the Hall of Good or Hall of Very Good or whatever. But the way the Pacers do it is I think the way Hall of Fames should do it, how the way most professional organizations do it. So, like the Miami Heat retiring Michael Jordan's number to me is crazy.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, that's dumb.
Right. Correct.
It would almost be, if he didn't own them, it would be dumb of Charlotte to do it. But he owns them, even though he played there. He didn't do anything there besides ride his career out. But I'm looking up here at some of these, and I'm like, I agree with you. I agree with Bob.
Yeah, I got a little news here. It just came over. If you're a Colts fan, Tyquan Lewis and Rodney McLeod have both been moved off the PUP list. So whether that means they'll be at practice today, I don't know. But they have been removed off the PUP list, and that is your 20 minutes after the hour update.
Boom.
Boom.
And there's the dinger to go right with it.
It's my buddies wanting to know when I can play golf. So,
well, you're too hungover. Tell them
not today. It ain't happening. Not today, man.
Looking forward. So you're heading up to a training camp. Is that open today?
Matt Ryan will speak today. At some point very soon, I want to write a column about the only real concern I have about this team, and that's the lack of wide receivers and tight ends. I do not know who Matt Ryan's going to throw the ball to, and I think that's a worthy. It's a problem. It's going to be a problem. I'm sorry, my brain's not working right. But
I played tight end, so I like
but you got that foot problem.
Hey, juice it, baby. I'll take one for the team, baby. Juice it. Boom, it'll be gone and over.
Yeah.
But I hope you have fun out at the Colts camp. I hope you have fun not playing golf today, and soak your head in I always see them soak their head in a bowl of ice.
Bowl of ice. Oh, I'm just gonna go back to bed for a couple hours.
There you go.
I'll be all right.
And we'll see you soon, buddy. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you.
Sid Dustin.
Take care.
Make sure you follow Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. He's a great friend of the show, and you can follow him and be a subscriber. I am. I love the content at The Athletic. It's great. We've got lots more coming up. We're going to talk to Indiana Athletics Director Scott Dolson. Stay tuned. Don't forget, if you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, Remax, Cheryl Sizemore, and her 2 decades of experience could be the reason you get the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Or if you're down in the Louisville, Southern Indiana, Floyd, Clark, Harrison County areas, Barbara Pop Realty Service and their 3 decades of service will get you the home you want. Reach out to Matt Lincoln at barbarapop.com. Back with AD Scott Dolson after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out.
All right. As usual, I will be muting you all once we get this rolling.
So 13, 14, 16. And how long is that thing?
About 19 minutes.
Oh, shit. So when does that bring us back?
No, we're not going to be. I mean, did you have anybody directly at 9:30?
Yeah.
Well, then I wish you'd have told me that before. Then we probably shouldn't run this right now.
Well, I sent that email to you when the CEO for the Peach Bowl.
I remember you mentioning it at the beginning of the show, but I didn't get an email.
I think I said it as soon as it wasn't today. It was.
You mean like a week ago?
Well, no, or when they made the appointment.
Let me see. I see the email now. I'm looking to see what it says on here. It doesn't have a time on the email.
I don't even see it then.
Well, never mind. Wednesday at 9:30. I see it. It's at the very top.
There you go.
Well, we can.
We can. Okay. Bob's the only other guest. What time? Or Rick's the only. What time is Rick?
Rick's at 9:50. I can push Rick. Tell him to come later. You want to run Scott after the other guy?
Check 1, 2, 3.
Let me think.
We got a minute 10.
Feel free to fill my coffee.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3.
How long would it go if we ran it?
Right now, it's 19 minutes.
I know, but how long?
We would go until like 9:34, 9:35.
And then we'd have 3 more minutes.
Yeah.
So that'd be 9:38.
We shouldn't do it here.
You know what? Just tell Rick to, just push Rick about 10 minutes.
All right.
Or whatever, And that way it squeezes everything in. Right?
I'm going to tell Rick it'll be 10:10-ish.
No, don't make it that late. Don't make it that late. It should only be 10 minutes. Just make it 10 minutes past his normal time.
Well, you'll have to make sure you're good on your time with the other guy, with Peach Bowl. Here, we're running out of time. Here we go.
More Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back to Lucas Oil Stadium for the 2022 Big Ten Football Media Days. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Schutte as well. It has been a good 2 days already. We'll be talking to the CEO of the Peach Bowl, which has become one of the giants in the bowl game, man. And they used to be just a regular old bowl, but they're the top earner. They're the top giver, and they are this year. They are one of the semifinals games. So big time. They're big time in this, man.
I love how they've done this with the college football playoff too, and I think that it will continue even when the playoff expands. I love how they rotate it between the bowl games. Still gives that significance to those bowl games. I know with players opting it. Look, sometimes for certain teams, these games are huge. They're enormous. It's what you play all season for, right? But in other circumstances, obviously, if a team doesn't make the college football playoff, some of the student athletes are opting out, and we saw that a lot in the Peach Bowl last year. You had Kenneth Walker, the running back, opt out. You had Kenny Pickett, the Heisman Trophy finalist quarterback, opt out. So 2 of the best offensive players opted out of that game. But this year, being part of that college football semifinal, they're going to participate. You're going to get everybody in those games. So I like how they've rotated it, not just leaving it with two bowl games or having a semifinal be something separate. I really like how they've incorporated that and do the rotation. I think they used to do it with the BCS to rotate the site of the national championship game back in the day. So just good to see that. And it's going to be exciting. Look, Atlanta's become kind of a hub of college football. Like I said earlier, with the college football playoff there, with so many great things with Chick-fil-A having its hand in so much of college football. It's really become a great bowl game, and not just one that it used to be just the SEC. I think the SEC and the ACC, and now it incorporates all kinds of teams.
Absolutely. Looking forward to talking to him. Rick Bozich as well is going to be joining us, and Scott Dolson, IU's athletic director. It's another loaded show. So I'm if I sound a little scattered, we it's when you're doing live, everything just get turned around. So trying to figure out. Up next is going to be the CEO from the Peach Bowl. Pete will be joining us, or Gary rather, Gary Stokan. And then we're going to hear from Scott Dolson, I believe. John, is that correct? And then Rick, is that right?
Hey, sorry, what's the issue? I was on the phone with Joe. What'd you say?
Oh, just trying to figure out what we're doing. That's all.
The message I sent you earlier, I'll go ahead and say some on here. For those of you listening on radio, earlier we teased that Scott Dolson was coming up in this segment. We're not doing that, obviously, right now. We pushed that a little bit later in the show, but we will have Scott Dolson playing later on. Just wanted to make that clear for those listening that can't hear us in between breaks.
Yeah, that's clear as mud for me. I'm still don't know when. So we'll looking forward to. We'll just take a break here. Coming up soon, as Gary's not set to join us for another 10 minutes. So we'll wait for him to join us and carry on with Dustin. As again, you should be here. You did miss out on
the beef jerky.
The beef jerky. They give us sometimes they give us gifts for coming and it's nothing big, trust me. This year it's a very usable item. It's simple. It's just a simple bag with a big pen on it. But you can see through it, which I like. A little carry bag, but it gets better because it's like, what do you call that Russian thing with the one inside of the other?
I don't know.
Somebody does. You just like the eggs and you open it up, there's another one just like it. And you open up, there's another one just like it.
Somebody's going to have to I do know what you're talking about, but I don't know what they're called. Somebody in the comments needs to chime in.
Besides the beef jerky they gave us, which was Old Trapper, by the way, peppered. I noticed that Taiwan did not favor it yesterday. He took one bite, and that was it. There comes Gary right there. You got a calendar, but we got an extra one of these, and then yet another. So
nice.
The gift that keeps giving. But
that's awesome. I remember in Chicago, it used to just be Chicago-style popcorn, which is the cheddar and caramel mix. And then I think it was a notepad, like a Rose Bowl stick-it notepad. I think that was the only gift. So they've up. Last year we got those cool. You ruined yours, but those cool thermoses with the Big Ten logo on it. I really like those.
I didn't ruin it, but the
sticker came off.
It's now just the B. It used to be big. The coffee mug. The dishwasher did that, but
Indiana Sport. You could use that B for beat. Indiana Sports beat. You got to repurpose it.
John, should we take a break or go right in because I could do that?
Is he here? Is he ready?
Yes.
Just take a break real fast.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Gary Stokan from the CEO of the Peach Bowl, one of the semifinal games this year, and it is becoming the biggest bowl game out there. So we'll talk to Gary when we come back here at Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by our good friends at the Wow Club. Make sure you sign up. Please do that as a favor to us, as they are a proud sponsor of IU Athletics. In addition to that of Indiana Sports Beat, they support us and bring you this content. So please hit the like button, sign up, and sign up for those guys. Don't forget about Cabello, located on the square in Bloomington. A great taste of Italian food right there in southern Indiana. Back with Gary Stokan, the CEO from the Peach Bowl, right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
Red sweater on. Oh, yeah. Everyone.
It's all he wore.
That's all he wore.
Do you know J.C. Hulls?
No.
Jim Coyle, very nice to meet you. My pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
JC does a lot of tournament stuff, but his son Jordan Hulls played basketball for IU.
Oh, he did? Okay.
But his dad was on Bob Knight's, came from Army to Bloomington
Oh,
That's how the holes are in Bloomington to begin
Okay.
with. But he has been with Adidas for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's been a while, but here's
Oh,
a
thank you,
sandwich
thank
for
you.
today.
Oh, thank you.
For lunch. Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, Coach and I had some great times up there. It's during Feinstein writing the book.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Tell
he
you
was.
some stories.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy about that.
No.
Let's see. How long are we out?
2.5.
He's just gonna have you in that chair right there.
Oh, right there.
Right
Okay.
next to
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
Streaming as well. Huh?
Oh yeah.
All right, we do everything here.
It's
Multimedia.
It is so easy now.
It's amazing. You,
just
have to be able
gotta
to do
have
that, huh?
You just have to have the right equipment.
Yeah. You know how to work it, right?
Boy, it seems like it never does.
That's the
same
tough part,
thing.
is knowing how to work it.
It's never the same twice.
Yeah.
Dustin Schutte is with us as well.
Hey, Dustin.
Let's see how that turned out right there. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's a smudge on that. John, is there a smudge on the camera? Or is that just lights?
No, I mentioned that to you earlier, and I thought you wiped it off. I don't know if it's just
Wanted to make sure.
still there or what.
And then put my big old paw on it.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
We hear you. You're good.
Okay. I can hear Dustin.
And you're hearing me, the
That's
producer.
Yeah.
John.
Bubble.
That's the producer, John.
Or John. I can't hear.
He hadn't said anything. Dustin, say something.
Can you hear me? How you doing, Gary?
I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why. I can hear you just regular. So
Oh, that's interesting.
So I'll listen intently to you.
yeah. I want to go back to the Peach Bowl, baby.
Yeah, what was it? 92 against Tennessee?
Twice.
Twice.
Auburn.
Yeah, that's right. Auburn, yeah.
I went to both of those. I was talking about that
Coach
earlier.
Mallory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Were you with them then?
Coldest stadium in the world. I was a volunteer. I started in 85.
Oh
I worked for
God.
Adidas during that time. And I was on the board and the team selection committee. And Fulton County Stadium,
20 seconds.
we'd liable to get 4 seasons all in one day during the Peach Bowl.
Here we go.
Pros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios North, as we are at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis today for day 2 of the 2022 Big Ten Media Days, and I am very honored and fortunate to be joined by Gary Stockton, the CEO of the Peach Bowl, which I've been to 2 Peach Bowls, but man, they've changed a little bit since I was there, Gary.
Well, we've upgraded 2 stadiums since then. We moved into the Georgia Dome in 1992, and then subsequently now are playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I think is the best stadium in the country right now. Is give Arthur Blank all the credit in the world. He really built something with the fans in mind to elevate the experience, and they just announced yesterday they're going to add terrace suites down on the field, like right where we're sitting.
Wow.
For people to be able to be closer to the action. So all in the sake of making more revenue, obviously.
I did make it to the Georgia Dome. That was the last time Indiana, unfortunately, made it to a Final Four. Played in the championship game there, so I was there for that. But better news today, as the Peach Bowl is now one of the semifinal games this year. So they're alternating. This is one of their years. So this is going to be an exceptionally big year for you guys. That's it. You can only go one spot higher, so it's pretty high.
Well, we've hosted the national championship in 18 with Georgia and Alabama, and we didn't know we were hosting 2 national championships as UCF beat Auburn and declared national champions as well. But yeah, this year we're going to host the semifinal, number 1 against 4, 2 against 3, and then also we kick off the season with number 3 Georgia against number 10 Oregon in our Chick-fil-A kickoff game. And then on Monday night, Labor Day night, we start the ACC season with Clemson, number 5, against Georgia Tech. All 3 games are sold out, and we're calling this our record season this year, coming out of COVID.
You guys have turned it into and I was going to bring this point up because you were named one of the titans of business, but you all approach this as a business, not a bowl game. And I don't mean that. I mean that in a positive way, because they are the biggest at bringing in money, the biggest at giving money, just the biggest in every way. But it's because of how you guys treat this and all the different things you do. Added games. What other bowl game has 2 or 3 other games to go along with their bowl game?
Well, that's a great point. Out of adversity comes positivity. We bid on the 2006 when the old BCS decided to bring on a championship game. We bid along with the Cotton Bowl and some other bowls, but they wound up making a decision to have the Fiesta Rose, Sugar, and Orange double host their game and then the championship game 2 weeks later. So I told my board the next year when they allocated a 12th game to the college football schedule, I said, look, if they're not going to let us in the backside of the season in the BCS, we're going to start the BCS on the front side of the season. So I went to Clemson and Alabama, told them we were going to start a kickoff game, and I called it the Daytona 500 of college football. And I got a cease and desist letter from Daytona 500 saying, please quit using Daytona 500.
Should have called it the Daytona 501.
Yeah. But that's what we did. We changed the face of college football on the front side of the season by having 2 teams. Clemson was number 9 that year. Alabama was number 25. And if Nick Saban were sitting here, they came in, they beat Clemson 34-10. And Nick would tell you that was the start of the run they've been on ever since, because they were on the cover of Sports Illustrated. The next year, we had them in to play number 7 Virginia Tech. They were ranked number 5, and they won the national championship. So now you see teams playing big-time games. Ohio State's got Notre Dame, first game of the season now. So we changed the face of college football on the front side of the season. And to your point earlier, we pay out more than about 38 bowl games on the front side of the season in our kickoff game. So it's very much like a bowl game to start the season. And we're humbly proud in raising all this money. We're the most charitable bowl organization in the country. We've given $60 million out since 2002 back to scholarship and charities throughout the country.
Dustin?
Gary, first of all, I just recently moved out of Kennesaw, Georgia, down here to Gainesville.
Oh, wow.
Florida. So I'm going to need you to keep your eyes on any good prices on houses so I can get back. I love living in the metro Atlanta area. So, but
we miss you.
I miss it there too. Trust me. One of the questions I had for you was you just talked about kind of that season opening, that the Peach Bowl Kickoff Classic, and how do you go about the selection process in terms of teams? Do you get a bunch of inquiries, or do you reach out? How does that whole process work?
Well, it's changed, obviously. Now we do get people that call us and say, hey, we have an opening or whatever. But that's one of the reasons I'm here is I talk to the coaches, talk to the ADs, and say, hey, look, we've got this team that's willing to play this year. Saw your schedule. You have an opening. I look at coaches' contracts. I look at the recruiting of the teams. I look at their schedules and see what openings they may have. It's a little bit tougher to get Big Ten teams because with 9 conference games, as an AD, those years when you have 4 home games, those 3 non-conference games you have to schedule at home to make your 7 to make your budget. In those years when you have 5, then there's a possibility. But the ACC and SEC, most years, they have 8 conference games, so they typically can schedule their 3 non-conference and still have 1 game left. And that's typically what's worked for us, ACC versus SEC. We've sold out now 23 of 26 bowl games. I've been there 25 years, and it's also led to relationships. We run the Dodd Trophy, which is the preeminent college coach of the year, that gives away a trophy that's for the coach that does more in his community. Obviously wins on the field, but wins in the community with giving back, but also graduates his student athletes. And Pat Fitzgerald, Kirk Ferentz, I look down the logos here, and we've had some coaches from the Big Ten win that award. So we're very invested in college football. We've moved the College Football Hall of Fame from South Bend, Indiana to Atlanta. We put $13 million in it to build it and sustain it. So we've really given back to college football. And we're one of those bowl games that was based on giving back when we were created back in 1968. A lot of bowls were created for tourism, but we were built to give back, and we do so humbly proud using college football to do that.
College football under such change now, it's seismic change, but does that really affect you guys because there always is going to be two sides, so which is what you need. Where they're coming from probably doesn't really matter at this point, because you're going to have quality opponents coming out of it. But USC, UCLA coming here to the Big Ten, obviously that is a huge deal. You've got Texas and Oklahoma soon to be going into the SEC. So some seismic changes on the college football landscape.
That's a great point. It's a crazy time right now in college sports, let alone college football. We hope that we've done a good enough job. We've sold out all of the games we've had in the CFP era since 2015 when it started, and we hope that the commissioners will look fondly upon us, whatever the expansion is, if there is expansion coming in 2026. We're in our contract through 2025. We'll host the semis this year, and then again in 2025, and hopefully we'll make a bid for the national championship, get another national championship for Atlanta.
How much planning does it take in between those events? Because and I know there's other locations, so they got to be equally parceled out, which probably gives you the right amount of time to, all right, what did we do here? What went wrong? And then what can we do better on the next one?
Well, it's, when you're in this business as long as I've been in sports 43 years, and I go to a sporting event different from probably anybody else. I just came back from London. I went to Wimbledon finals and went to St. Andrews for the Open. And as I walked toward the facility, I was noticing signage, how it was placed, and how the people addressed people as they came in and went out. So you're always in that constant, how can we continually improve? But I've got a great staff, the best staff in the business. We have truly, as Dustin can tell you, in Atlanta, we really enjoy Southern hospitality, hosting people, and our volunteers, over 600 volunteers for each game, do a tremendous job. And in Atlanta, we got something special. There's a lot of Fortune 500 companies that really give back to the city through their corporate support, like Chick-fil-A. They're the longest supporting title sponsor in the bowl business. 26 years now, they've been title sponsor of the Beach Bowl. So
when
we're
did
very, very
Tostitos
blessed.
come on, man?
What's that?
When did Tostitos come on? They must be right behind them.
Yeah, they've been gone for a little bit. The Fiesta Bowl's through their fourth title sponsor.
Oh, there are Tostitos
Tostitos left. Yeah.
Boo on Tostitos. No more Tostitos, baby. No more Tostitos.
I wanted to ask Gary, I know we got to let you go and don't want to take up too much of your time, but there's kind of been also almost like a sports revolution kind of in Atlanta. You talked about Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Obviously, the Braves just got a new stadium, Truist Park. And you got the College Football Hall of Fame, which traveled from South Bend down to Atlanta. How much does that help you maybe get some attention from other these teams, or does that make much of a difference in what you're trying to accomplish? How much does that impact what you're trying to do?
Well, it's interesting. Atlanta and Georgia is fourth in the number of kids who matriculate on college football scholarships, and close to beating California for number 3. And we're a very small state compared to California. Texas is number 1, Florida's number 2, California's 3, and Georgia's 4. So it's a big recruiting base. We have a large amount of alumni of Big Ten schools living in Atlanta, and the number 1 alumni base for all the SEC schools. And only Carolina and Duke we're second in the ACC. All the other ACC schools, main alumni base living in Metro Atlanta. So we've got a great relationships with alumni there, and having the infrastructure we have with 3 interstates that intersect in the middle of downtown, the largest airport in the world, and 12,000 hotel rooms right in downtown, close to walking distance to all the facilities. It's like Indianapolis in a lot of ways. It's built for hosting major events. Indianapolis on a smaller basis, but Indianapolis hotels close to the walking distance of the facilities, and their people really do a great job here of hosting big time events, and that's why they have the Big Ten championship.
Well, I'm coming down regardless, man. So
Yeah, come down and see us. Come
I'm
down.
coming down.
College Football Hall of Fame. Dustin can host you down there as well.
Yeah, we'll do that
There
as
we
well.
go.
But we're coming to the Peach Bowl this year. I do not expect Indiana to be there, but I will be there to see it anyway because it's been too long. But I can't thank you enough.
Well, thanks.
And
for
I'd like to
having
do
us.
this again sometime because there's so much more I'd love to talk about the Peach Bowl, about all that goes into it, and all about that. There's just so much more that I would love to talk
Well,
about.
during the season, we'd love to talk to you and have us come back on and just give us a call. We'd love to do it.
Absolutely. Gary Stokan from the CEO of the Peach Bowl, the semifinal game for this upcoming season, and has already hosted the national championship and will be doing so again in the near future. We got lots more coming up. Rick Bozich is with us and Indiana Athletic Director Scott Dolson. After this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim
Thank you,
Cole,
brother.
presented by
Enjoyed
Endurance
it.
Hospitality
Man,
Group and
I
Andy
love
World
Bloomington.
of
You guys have a
Bloomington.
great
Whether
place.
you're visiting Bloomington,
If I didn't have a recorded deal with Scott Dolson from yesterday, we could have gone on longer. But I'm like, dang, I can't get all that in. Getting it all in. But
Well,
I'm
if you
definitely-
want to talk during the season, we'd love to
Oh,
do it.
I would
Just
definitely
let
like
us
to do
know,
that.
and thanks so much.
And I'm
Good to
definitely,
meet you.
Meet you.
Good
Definitely
luck
gonna
in your
get-
career.
I appreciate it.
Listen
Definitely
to
gonna
this guy. He can help you.
I'll get Dustin, but I do want to come back down to that. It's
Yeah, you
a
need to come
great,
down.
It's a great. I just love it. I do, and it's easy to get to.
Yeah.
And
We
I'm
have
like,
hourly flights pretty much from everywhere, and once you're there, it's about 15 minutes into downtown. And once you're downtown, there's so many hotel rooms.
Yeah.
You know, with the aquarium is unbelievable. It's the best aquarium in the world. You got the World of Coke, you got the National Civil and Human Rights, and the College Football Hall of Fame right
Peach Bowl.
there.
I mean, I researched. I'm like, damn, they're the best bowl without question.
We've come a long way.
I've been
that's
to
for
the Gator
sure.
Bowl, and I've been to Outback, and I've been to all of them.
Well, you'd love Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Oh,
It's
I haven't been there yet.
it's really, really
So
great.
yeah, I sat up at the top at the
Fulton
Georgia
County.
Dome.
Georgia Dome, yeah.
Uh,
Georgia Dome was a great place.
I was there
Great
as
sight
just as a
lines.
fan.
Yeah, great sight lines.
It wasn't too bad. It didn't last long. Couldn't
Doesn't have
wait.
the amenities.
I was going to say it didn't last
Mercedes-Benz.
long. I'm
Yeah.
like, one thing was up and it back down.
It's funny. We had a lot of bowls in the last game, the SEC championship game. It was in, and they said, "You guys are tearing this down. Can we just pick it up and move it to our city and drop it?"
Oh, I guarantee
Because
it.
it was such a good facility. Now they have all kind of technology and
Yeah.
everything else now, which is a lot better. So, well, thanks so
Gary,
much.
thank you, buddy. I'll
Have a
see you
great
again
season.
soon.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
All right, Jim. Once we get rolling here, I'm going to mute both you and Dustin. Oh, you can hear me now. Whenever we get rolling here with Scott, I'm going to mute you and Dustin, and then you're good to, if you need to get up and do something, you'll need to be back here until about 10 o'clock.
Right at 10. Okay, perfect. I go to the restroom.
Cool.
Have some beef jerky.
All right, muting him. Goodness gracious. All the confusion earlier, I didn't understand it.
We good
All
though.
right, Dustin. I'll go ahead and mute you too, Dustin.
Sounds good.
See you at 10 o'clock.
Pre-owned Accords, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and Pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
We'll come to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios northeast a little bit as we have moved to Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis as the 2022 Big Ten Media Days continue. We're very, very fortunate to have Indiana Athletic Director Scott Dolson with us. Yesterday we were fortunate to talk to Coach Allen, AJ Barner, Taiwan Mullen. Cam was on with us. A lot of great kids, very well spoken. That's one of the best comments that we had. Those guys were so well spoken, so the great kids. And we know that that's been kind of the mantra for Tom. The kids that he has, and I shouldn't call them kids, young men that he has in there, have all been great young men. And I know that winning's got to come too, but starting with the great young men, that's a great start.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Jim. I mean, we're really, really fortunate. And those three that you mentioned just are really, they personify really our whole team in terms of what Tom is trying to do, how he builds from within, the whole LEO culture. And I just couldn't be more proud of those guys and how they represent us. And really, that just to see them up here for this is a huge deal up here, as you know. And just having them represented us is huge. Couldn't be more proud of them.
Dustin Schutte joining us as well. Welcome back, Dustin. Got Scott here with us. In the Big Ten Media Days, first of all, having in Indianapolis, I'm selfish because for obvious reasons, but being here at Lucas Oil Stadium last year, we were all like, wow, this is incredible. But this is just such a great environment. And I hope that it stays here. And again, I know I'm being a little selfish because we live here, but the environment is perfect.
I couldn't agree more. And obviously, I'm partial too in terms of being an Indiana person, but I'd say Indianapolis just shines, and what they do here with making certain that whatever they host, whatever it is first class. And this is just a good example of that. I give all the Indiana Sports Corporation, Eric Newberger, he's one of our alums, he runs Lucas Oil Stadium, just going to be better. And it's a great deal for the Big Ten, but obviously just in what it shows in terms of everyone else around the country, what Indianapolis does in terms of hosting major sports.
Indiana football, of course, season's not too far away. We've got the stadium enclosed. We've got to get the fans back out. Planning anything different this year? Are they doing anything, you guys? I know you're always have something going on.
Yeah, first of all, we're really excited. Our fans are excited. Our season ticket renewal rate is awesome. We're really, really well. I think people are excited again, ready to get back. Last year was kind of a re-entry year coming off of COVID, and I think we're getting back into the rhythm. In terms of the exciting things, we're really, really trying to build on our customer service. We talk about it a lot. It's not a silver bullet, one thing that you say that we're trying to do that is going to be a noticeable thing, other than we're just continually talking about how we can make such a fan experience, in addition to the game, which is that everyone's there to see, is as good as anybody does anywhere. And that's really important to all of us, customer service.
And that is one of the things I've not understood is, even though winning always helps, but for whatever reason, people should just come out to a football game, man. Just come out. There's only 6 of them. Because there's a lot of other programs I've been around or whatever, and they didn't always have the top winning percentage. You don't have to be Ohio State. It's just come out to it. It's fun coming out to a football game. I mean, the enjoyment of tailgating and seeing people. That's what I wish more Indiana fans would enjoy.
Yeah, I'll say, I've been around for a long time. I've seen the fluctuations up and down in terms of overall attendance. But all in all, our football fans, I think, probably don't get as much credit as they deserve in terms of how strong they are. We've got a great core, and that core isn't. At times, people think maybe the core is aging and it's an older group, but you need that demographic as well. But we've got a great support base of kind of the next generation of fans coming in. It is hard because sometimes people talk about the tailgating. We got to get more people into this thing. And sometimes there's more people out there tailgating. But part of that's what makes us unique. I mean, it's such an unbelievable college atmosphere all around. And I know Tom and I talk a lot about doing everything we can to make certain it's as exciting inside the stadium as it is outside. But we just appreciate all of our fans' support. And as I said, our football fans probably get sometimes a tough rap because I think they're really, really good and incredibly supportive people. They really have.
I had fun when I was in school. I can tell you that. it was fun. Dustin, he's going to ask you what your favorite seafood restaurant is. Probably that's what you ask every. He has Tom and every player, and Tom doesn't like seafood. You didn't get much help with that, did you?
I didn't get much help. Taiwan helped me a little bit. I got good Memphis. I got a good Memphis barbecue recommendation there from Cam. So I got some places to stop by. All three of those guys need to try the shrimp cocktail before you guys leave Indianapolis, though, Scott.
Yeah, none of them had tried the shrimp cocktail from St. Elmo.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. So it was like, oh, you got to tell Coach that, man.
I did have a question, Scott, because it's been kind of a crazy 2 years here. The last as athletic director, obviously you take over and you have the COVID situation, and now all of a sudden the Big Ten is adding USC and UCLA. And I'm just curious, in your time, I know you've been at Indiana a long time, but in your last couple years as the athletic director, what have you learned, or what's been your biggest takeaway from these past couple years? Because it's been crazy, man.
It has been crazy. It really has. We talked about that. We had an athletic director meeting yesterday, Big Ten athletic director meeting, and we talked about just really going back to when I took over 2 years ago, all the transformational change happening in college athletics and COVID and all the different things going on. And now with this expansion, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is how close the Big Ten is. And the Big Ten athletic directors, Commissioner Warren, faculty reps, the presidents, it's a really unique situation. It's different than probably most people think in terms of we compete so hard on the field and on the court and the pool that you would think that maybe those rivals translate into the business side of things. But the collegiality, just the way we strategize together, it's one of my favorite parts of my job. And I've said this before publicly, and people wouldn't probably understand it, but like Mike Levinsky, the athletic director of Purdue, is one of my closest friends in the business, and he is a great confidant and someone that I can rely on. And again, and that just is a kind of a small example of what the Big Ten does. And so I guess growing up at IU, I knew the Big Ten was strong, but at this level, I just didn't realize how close everyone is and how we work together really to do what's best for the conference, but obviously what's always best for student athletes.
I can say this. One of the things that I've seen, there just seems to have been a calm since you've taken over. It's like things were just really turbulent, and you've been able to calm the waters during a tough time, during all the stuff we just mentioned, COVID and all that stuff. First of all, that's crazy in itself. But just period. There was with basketball, with all the things, it was so turbulent. And it just seems like the waters have just calmed down. Things are going well. You've got young All-American freshmen on the baseball team. You've got the women's basketball team. The men's basketball team we're expecting high things of as well. So the waters are really – I think you've done a hell of a job in just calming things, because to me that I removed myself before I graduated here, but I removed myself from that, and I just look and it's like, wow, it's just been a lot of mistakes along the way by different people here and there, but it just seems like for whatever reason you've been able to kind of calm that out, and I don't know how, but
I appreciate you saying that. I think you've got a great administrative team in your department. We talk a lot about playing the cards we dealt the best we can, and not to get too high or too low. And we do talk about trying to be the calm and eye of the storm, because there's only certain things you can't control, and at times you can sit back and say, what are we going to do about the COVID stuff and the masking and all the different things, or just challenges financially. But what we try to do is just be methodical, make certain that we really trust our process, and then really have a vision for what success looks like, and then focus on that. And so, like I said, I've always looked forward to going to work, but I've never looked forward to going to work as much as I do now. And a big part of that is to be the people I work with, And I just maybe it's because I was a basketball manager growing up. I think I'm
with LJ Wright.
Yeah, there you go.
The guy I went to high school with.
Yeah, LJ's a great guy.
His dad was my athletics director.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, really helped instill in me that team concept. And I know it's not about me, it's about all of our team working together with a common vision. And that's kind of stating it simply. But I'm glad to hear you say you feel like it's calm, because that's what we're trying to do.
Well, it's palpable. You can see it. I mean, because it had been so turbulent. But speaking of basketball, man, a lot of excitement, a lot of anticipation, a lot of expectations, as there always have been in the past, but people weren't allowed to have those in the last several years. They feel like they can have them now, and with good reason. Man, I think that Indiana's one of the favorites to win the Big Ten this year, and that's Mike Woodson has done a hell of a job in a short period of time.
Yeah, he really has, and he's been I would say for us, it's a perfect fit, team internally. It's back to what I was talking about earlier. He's got a real vision that we share in terms of where we want the program to be comprehensively. And he's been, I said this at his press conference, he's really a good person. I think that's one of the things that in our department, really university is really important. You have good people that have good intentions and he's just been great. I think you feel it when you talk to him. He's genuine. He cares. You can see the players and how they just have embraced him and trust him. They have to back and forth. And he's got a knack for holding them accountable and being demanding, but at the same time maintaining a high level of respect, where there's a real confidence with the players that they know he's got their best interests at heart. And so hopefully that all translates to success, which we want on the court. And we feel really good about his roster management, which is tough, with the transfer portal and all the changes in college athletics. But yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. And there's no question that our staff is really strong, and we feel really good about where we are.
Yeah, you talk about a calm, cool cat. That's Mike Woodson. He does not. If he gets excited, I don't want to be around him. He's a big old boy. Dustin mentioned it earlier. UCLA and USC joining. That is exciting. It's all kinds of things. I'm imagining, all right, Indiana at Pauley Pavilion. Wow, how cool is that going to be? Indiana in the Rose Bowl. I mean, there's just a lot of excitement comes with that. In addition to the fact that USC and UCLA are joining the Big Ten, now you're a bi-coastal conference, or just all kinds of things are going with this.
I agree. It's very exciting. And to be totally honest with you, I knew USC and UCLA were great institutions, but just throughout this process, I learned a lot more. And boy, they're a perfect fit all around. And again, knew enough to be dangerous, but didn't know in depth. I didn't realize how strong academically they are. And again, just the same values and principles that we have in the Big Ten. They just fit in perfectly. And obviously, their athletic success speaks for itself. So, I think it's great for a conference, and it's great for our student athletes, and it'll be a great fit.
I know, obviously, they contacted the Big Ten, and then once the Big Ten does, Commissioner Warren does what he does, he reaches out to the universities. How surprised were you when you heard that was a possibility? That one had to be, even as an athletic director, that one had to be kind of off the radar.
Yeah, probably a little surprised.
Really?
Reached out particularly just because of the logistical distance. You kind of think about conferences as being more regional. That's just all changed. And conferences are becoming more national. So it did and it didn't. But again, once we dug into it, it just was, as I said, a great fit. And it was exciting. I think it's an exciting opportunity for our student athletes to be able to travel out west and to play at historic institutions like that. And just the student athletes that I've talked to so far, they really are, as I said, excited and really embrace it as well.
I meant to ask somebody earlier, I didn't get to. Man, will Bill Walton get to do UCLA games anymore? and now, is he going to call the Big Ten the Conference of Champions? That's a great question. Oh, man. Dustin, anything else?
Yeah, real quick, Scott, and this is, to me, my experience on this show. I only usually host once or twice a week, but and this goes for today as well. Every time we've had a student athlete from Indiana on the show, just great, tremendous student athletes, great character, great personality, always incredibly polite. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's basketball, football, swimming, tennis, whatever the case might be. They've always been great student athletes. I have to imagine that makes your job a lot easier. Knowing that you're working with such great student athletes.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that. And we're real proud of our student athletes. Obviously, they're not perfect. They're young people. They're in the process of growing. But that's why I feel I have a job. That's why we do what we do. And there's no better feeling to see student athletes come in. You can look at Taiwan Mullen as a perfect example.
Yeah.
Taiwan came in from Florida, and to see him blossom and grow and become the young man that he's become, and he just represents everything we want in a student athlete. And, there's lots of times we talk about the business of college athletics, transformation, financial implications of things, and expansion and all that. And when it comes down to it, it's really about the kids and seeing them grow and maximize their opportunities. So I appreciate you saying that. I'm really proud of our kids and really proud of the department in terms of making certain that we keep the main thing the main thing. And sometimes it's hard to do in this business, but we want to make certain we're doing all we can to help our young people grow. And I think they feel that.
It's an excellent job. So I can remember back in the 90s and 80s, at a lot of universities, that wasn't the case, and it's greatly changed. So great. Looking forward to a great season across the board, soccer, everything. No, I didn't even mention soccer. Soccer. How do I not mention that? Todd does such a great job there, but looking forward to another great soccer season. Of course, another college cup. I think that's like a rule. It doesn't. Is Indiana just given the automatic qualification to the college cup now? I think they've been to 22 out of 44, whatever it is. It's absolutely astonishing.
I tell you, and the great thing is they don't take it for granted. They work so hard, and just have a system in place that obviously you play to that system. And they're an example of really what we try to do with all our programs in terms of putting in not just building a team, but you've got a program philosophy, a system that if you play to that and you work hard, you've got good things coming your way. So I'm really proud of it.
And I don't want to keep it, but I know I didn't bring up NIL, but that's something you've also had to navigate. I mean, man, I don't know. You've had to navigate everything possible. COVID, NIL, the transfer portal, now the transfer portal going whatever it's going to be. And managing NIL while still trying to bring funds into the school, which I know that is a very important thing because a lot of those funds are for scholarships and things like that. That's a tough thing to balance everything.
It is. But it's back to what we talked about earlier. That NIL was going to happen. And so realizing that we need to make certain that we're good at it. We need to make certain that for our student athletes, that we do all we can to educate them, that we put them in the best position to succeed, to build their brand, to make certain that we're known as a school that really wants our student athletes to succeed in that area and embrace it. And so that's what we've done. And again, proud of our team and the work that we've done in that NIL front. And our student athletes have grown and benefit from that. And again, we just have to make certain that whatever card we're dealt, we play the best we can. And make certain we have a plan for everything that comes our way and execute that plan. So NIL is just one of those cards we're dealt, and we're playing the best we can. And it's been good for our student athletes.
Scott, I think you've done a hell of a job,
means
man.
a lot, Jim.
Appreciate you,
appreciate
man.
what you guys do for us. It means a lot.
We're glad to. I'm fortunate and glad to be able to do this for a living. I love it. It's just I'm better than digging ditches. I can tell you that, baby.
We appreciate it.
But I enjoy it. But cannot tell you how much I appreciate having Scott Dolson, athletic director for Indiana, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. Lots more coming up. We'll be back with it from Lucas Oil Stadium as the Big Ten Media Days continues right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
Hey, Rick.
Hi, Rick. Oh, shit. Oh my God.
Oh, we can't, Rick. We can't hear you.
You might just have to go out and come back in.
Sometimes, Rick, go ahead and just exit and come back in. Sometimes that usually fixes it. You're also going to hear me fooling around with some music.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
What time does it start up there today? 11?
Yeah, Jeff Brom is the first speaker. He's at 11, and followed by Brett Belima, Mel Tucker, Greg Schiano, James Franklin, Paul Chris, and of course, Ryan Day.
So he's the signature guy.
Oh yeah, yesterday, they had Harbaugh.
Did Harbaugh say something about if anybody on his team has a kid, he'd adopt it? He said that at the podium?
I don't know if he said it at the podium, but he said it. He told Gene
Wojciechowski,
of ESPN that because he was at an anti-abortion march a few weeks ago, I think.
Right. What were those glasses he was wearing yesterday too? They were different.
He's
out there.
An interesting character.
He
By the way, Jim, you're good on
Better
breaks.
keep winning.
You'll need any more commercials after this.
The Reds and the Cubs, baby, playing at the Field of Dreams.
When is that? 2 weeks?
Is it this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Man. The White Sox already played there, didn't they?
They played the Yankees last year, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Didn't that game tickets go for like a lot of money?
Yes, there's only like 8,000 seats, and I'm sure most of them are reserved for sponsors or corporate people or baseball honchos. So, yeah, it was almost impossible to get one.
If that thing's a sellout for the Reds and Cubs, that tells you that there's no room at the end, even for the Reds.
There won't be any seats. I mean,
it's more. That's more than a
bit. Very popular in Iowa. That's where their AAA team is.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
All right, here we go.
Network. The Hoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. North, as we're at Lucas Oil Stadium for the 2022 Big Ten Football Media Days, brought to you by our friends at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, right off of I-65. Rick Bozich, the Hall of Famer, joins us now from WDRB.com. Rick, how are you?
I'm good. It's a little rainy down here this morning, but you're up in Indy. I almost came, but we decided just to watch it on TV. I just drove to Charlotte and back last week for ACC Media Day, so I've logged plenty recently.
Yeah, I your piece that I see, your most recent piece, very on topic, as Indiana was a team that Tom Allen had came in and brought in all of the excitement and had the fan support. And then, of course, last season's collapse. But Rick has a piece out right now that you can go to WDRB.com about that very thing. But, yeah, it's this is I guess it's not suffice to say it's more than an important season for him to bounce back, to see where this program is going, because that 2-10 season was horrific for so many reasons. But One thing that Tom Allen said yesterday about how that Iowa game, how it affected them, and I remember that because I was so shocked at that result and how it was happening, how they were getting beat. I was like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on? And it seems like the entire team was shell shocked from that, but he said they never really recovered from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think three things are important. One is the way they got, wasn't it like 21-0 at the end of the first quarter? I mean, it was over after one quarter, and it was almost like
3-4 plays. I mean, they were down 14-0.
Yeah, it foreshadowed the whole season. Like, it not just that game was over, the season was over in many ways. And then, although they did win the next two, and we're fortunate to hang on and beat Western Kentucky down there, they were in position to win the Cincinnati game, and they still had a little bit of juice behind them. I know there were some national writers at that game. Pat Forty was in Bloomington for the Cincinnati game, and I think he was going to write about IU maybe if they beat Cincinnati, but McFadden gets thrown out, and Cincinnati wins the game, and Indiana just went from there. And then to me, the most interesting stuff that I read or heard from yesterday, and it must have come in the breakout sessions, and you can explain it, but that I guess the morning after the game or even the night of the Purdue game that Cam Jones and Jack Tuttle, I believe, texted Tom Allen and wanted to meet with him the following day and tell him that they wanted to have a player accountability committee so something like this didn't happen again. And, I know after that game, Micah McFadden made some comments, but I sure get the impression as time goes on that the defense and the new defensive coordinator wasn't a good fit. It didn't click, and the defense didn't play as well last year. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Tom's going back to calling the defense.
Right.
That's a telltale sign right there when you had a head coach, an inexperienced head coach who probably should have not stopped calling the defense, but he needed to get that head coaching experience. I don't know that it was good for the team that he stopped, but there's coaches that come in and don't stop being the offensive coordinator or calling plays. So I think he kind of should have stuck with that because that's his forte. That's why he got that job, as he said. What he did was built on it. Go ahead, Dustin.
I was just going to say, is it fair to say that you could give them an incomplete the defense from last season? I agree it wasn't nearly as good as it was in 2020, but to me it's hard to judge. That offense was so bad. I mean, they were on the field constantly, and when you're constantly in bad field position, bad situations, your offense isn't scoring points, they can't even stay on the damn field. Like, to me, I still don't know how good or how bad that defense was. I don't disagree that maybe Charlton Warren wasn't the guy to be running that defense. I just legitimately don't know whether they were good, bad, or just a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, when you go back and look at some of the numbers, and I did yesterday, they had 4 touchdown passes all season in Big Ten games. That's unacceptable. That's fireable. That's whatever you want to say. I mean, a really good team's going to have 4 every game, and most teams are going to have 4 every 2 games. They have 4 in 9 games. No wonder you're not going to win any games because every team in the conference knows you can't throw the ball. They know you can't throw it deep, and they're just going to flood the box and tee off on you, and they did, and IU's quarterbacks got pummeled. And the second thing was, and I don't know whether this is a change in defensive philosophy going from Kane Womack to Charlton Warren, but I can't remember a team that had such a dramatic change in being so far plus in turnovers in 2020. But last year, they were, in turnover margin, they were the second worst team in the country in turnover margin. They were making them and not getting them. When you have a terrible offense and you're giving the ball away and not getting it back, you're going to get smoked, and that's why they got smoked.
Yeah, and the turnover, that's been the problem. How many different defensive coordinators has Tom Allen had? And defenses.
Third one?
It's at least, and yeah, I'm trying to think, make sure there wasn't another one. But
who was before Womack? I don't remember that. Somebody was before Womack.
Golly.
This is only his 6th year, so
Tom called the defense on his own before Womack, but he also had Mark Hagan as co-defensive coordinator.
There you go.
Okay. So, yeah, But going back to that, the inconsistency on the defense, I think that hurt them. But offense is just inept and the offensive line was inept. There's nothing else you can say. That's about as kind as I can put it. But I think the defense will be pretty stiff this year. They've got a lot of guys back. They got a lot of guys that are experienced, and now you do have Tom Allen, who has taken this personal. He knows how bad that season was, and he knows that this season his career at Indiana is starting to be viewed, and so what they do is extraordinarily important. I guess he has a lot of faith in Walt Bell on the offensive side, because that tells me that as well. If he's kind of, if you're going to be doing that, you can't be spending much time focusing on the other as he has before.
Well, this is such a dramatic difference from last year. Last year during the summer, I kind of felt like they were really out pushing the program and they were more open, and it's been total lockdown this year. As we talked about before, no access to practice, no video, no really seeing what's going on. Haven't been really a lot of player interviews during the summer. This is the first time since the end of spring practice we've gotten any players at all. I mean, Allen talked at Huber's, but I don't really think in the last couple of years there was Zoom stuff during the summer where they had players available and they talked to. And there's just a lot of mystery about this team, and I think it's intentional of mystery of who's going to be the starting guys, especially on offense, and B, what are they going to run? And that's the way they want it, because I think he knows. Again, we've talked about this for several months. I mean, that Illinois game is huge. It's huge because you need to win that game to get people to stop talking about last year. If you get blown out again, it's going to be, oh, here they go again. And secondly, it's one of the three teams they play from the West, and Illinois is not one of the better teams, and you get them at home. If you have any hope to have a 6-win season, I think you have to beat Illinois.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because that could potentially propel them, because Cincinnati's not as good. Right. If they could get on a roll, they could potentially start 4-0, which now gives you 8 games to win 2. So, which is the situation they will be in with the schedule that they have. But if Indiana's to go to a bowl game, I think that they have to start 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, in Illinois, let's be honest, this is year 2 for Bielema. You're talking about a guy who's still rebuilding his program, and I know that's different these days with the portal and stuff, but if you're in year 6 and you're playing a team in year 2 and it's your home opener and you're really, a mid-range Big Ten program, you should win this game. You need to win this game.
But, Dustin, they have the game before with Wyoming, Illinois, the week before, and Indiana is almost like a new offensive coordinator, all this stuff. It's new. So they're going to be at a disadvantage.
A little bit, but I mean, if you're good enough, that shouldn't be too much to overcome. It's a heck of a lot easier than playing Iowa on the road the first game.
Right.
If they were playing Iowa on the road the first game this year, we'd already be saying they're going to get beat by 3 or 4 touchdowns, right? I mean, nobody would even consider them having a chance to win this year. So they got an easier team to play, and it's at home. They need to take advantage of it. And as you mentioned, for Tom Allen to get the juice back, I mean, let's think. A year ago, man, he was the most popular Indiana football coach since Bill Mallory, and now it's like doubt has creeped in, and is he really the guy to get it done? And I think it's showing up. Last year they had their best recruiting class ever, and that was on the heels of them having that really good season. The 2023 recruiting class doesn't appear to be nearly as good, and that's because they lost last year. So to get some of that recruiting mojo back, you can't. This would be a 10-game Big Ten losing streak. You can't have that.
Something else that Tom Allen, Dustin mentioned yesterday. This is the 4th time in his 6 years that he's been here that they have started with a Big Ten opponent. No one comes close to that, and that's ridiculous. Last year when they played Iowa, that was only the 2nd time Iowa had done that since 1979, and the previous opponent was Indiana. So Indiana's not getting any love from the Big Ten and scheduling.
It's a changing world, though. I mean, Purdue opens the night before Indiana at home against Penn State, so they're
That's not going to be any fun. That's not going to be no fun.
And Indiana, I know in the past at least one time it was Ohio State, one time it was Iowa. this is Illinois. Who was the fourth one? I don't remember.
It was Penn State in 2020, but I mean there was no.
Oh, that's right.
But they were supposed to open with Wisconsin anyway.
That's right.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good point.
So there you go.
I mean, let's be honest. The Big Ten looks at Indiana as, on the fringe of Big Ten relevance in football, and they're going to get the scraps that they get. I mean, they just are.
Basketball, Indiana has got a ton of visits going on right now, Rick.
Right.
Big time visits too.
Jamie Kaiser finishing up today, and then Aaron
Page,
I guess, is there, and then the other kid from Virginia, Harris Smith, is that his name?
Deshaun Harris Smith, yeah. Those, and I think they're in great position on all three of those guys. Getting all three of them would be like winning the Triple Crown, but they're actually these aren't guys that are competing against each other. So I think that Indiana has a good shot at landing these guys to go along with what they have and what will be coming back. And we haven't seen this for a long time. Talent stacking on top of talent. That hasn't happened at Indiana for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's been impressive. To me, the most impressive thing about what they've done, and I know they haven't gotten any commitments from these last three, is they were in on all these guys early, and I think they identified them before other schools did. And there's another kid, TJ Power, and then those guys played well over the last 6 weeks, and other bigger name schools have gotten involved. But I give credit to the staff doing a good job of, one, identifying good players, and two, building relationships, and three, the AAU season just ended on Sunday. They got these three dudes in there like right away after it was over. So it tells me that the assistant coaching staff like fits together. They're working together. I hate to go back to Archie's days, but in Archie's days, the impression always was it was Archie and Ostrom and nobody else mattered. On this staff, I think 4 guys and even some of the support staff mattered, and makes a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, Brian, I know Brian is out there. He's the newest, youngest guy. He's beating the bushes. If you talk to an AAU coach, they're going to know. Oh yeah, Brian was over talking. He is working. He's doing what you have to do as a new young coach, which
he's
is
ambitious. He's ambitious. He's imaginative. He's aggressive. I mean, that was to me one of the biggest downfalls with Archie is that Brewster Flint never got anything done at all, ever. Right? I mean, and Mike Roberts was a good dude, but did he bring any guys in? I don't think he did. So this is a staff that's got, Rosemond's really strong down in Georgia in that way. Kenya Hunter's strong in the Washington, D.C. area, and Brian Walsh in Ohio and other places. And Brian Walsh is the guy basically who had the relationship with Gabe Cupps, who I know that a lot of people watched him on ESPN last night and were impressed by the way he played. So, yeah, and Woodson seems to be the guy who, like, all right, you line him up and bring him in here. When it's time to, make the sale, I'm going to come in and close the deal. So we'll see how many deals he can close this week, but he's done a pretty good job so far.
Yeah, I think that Brian is also Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson. I don't know if Jalen is one he's on, but I know he's talks to Trent Sisley all the time and those guys. So he's in on these young guys. So Indiana's staff right now, they are as good as they can be. And like you mentioned, Kenya Hunter, he's looked at as one of the top assistant coaches around. Indiana can only hope how long they are able to hold on to him. And Yasir,
you're going to give Archie credit for him. He did. That is an Archie hire. So give Archie credit for that one.
Hey, he did something right. Saved himself. But what do you got going on? What are you doing? It's so much happening now. We're ending up. All the media days are over. The Big Ten, all the eyes should be on the Big Ten because everybody else is done, I believe, right?
I think the Pac-12 is just starting, or it's this week, I believe.
Nobody's paying attention to them anymore. Right?
Yeah, they're waiting to see who else they add. Next week.
What are the questions for UCLA and USC going to be?
I noticed the UCLA beat writer for the LA Times was there in Indianapolis, Ben Bulge. He asked a question yesterday. So, next week football starts. I think Indiana's media day is Monday. I think Louisville's is on Tuesday. I'm sure Kentucky's is one day next week, and Western Kentucky's is one next week. So football starts to be heating up, and all three are pretty interesting. Kentucky, for the first time that I can ever remember, picked to finish second behind only Georgia in the SEC East.
Wow.
Ahead of Florida, ahead of Tennessee. So big expectations there. Louisville, with all the Scott Satterfield drama, picked to finish 4th in their division, and IU was picked to finish last in the Big Ten East. But I think the media got it wrong last year when they picked them 4th, so they could get it wrong this year. I think they'll finish 6th or 7th, but they just need to win. They need to win at least 5 games this year. I know most people will say 6 to become bowl eligible, but going from 2 to 5 is a major improvement.
I tell you what I've got to ask. Jeff Brom, our perfect
Coming up. Yeah.
First speaker today, but all of us, I thought he was gone the last time without question,
Right.
but he did what he did and made the right move and stayed. But if this comes up again, with now things kind of have changed. Where's Louisville going to be? What conference are they going to be in? Money, the Big Ten. He's going to be, if he stays at Purdue, if he's able to stay at Purdue, they're going to be making, twice the money. That's going to benefit the football program. That stuff's got to come into play for him.
It's a legit question and a legit concern because if he can he's been there 6 years. He's got his program kind of going. He's shown with Aiden O'Connell how good he really is at identifying quarterback talent and development. We're talking about a former walk-on who could be an NFL draft pick, and that shows you the strength of Jeff Brom's coaching. That at Purdue, because of its the stability and the outlook of the Big Ten, is in many ways a better job than Louisville. And the only reason I think people continue would even mention him with the Louisville job is because it's his hometown. If it wasn't his hometown, nobody would talk about that.
Oscar's going to be here today, by the way.
He always is, and Brady, his son, and
yes, Coach Brady is. Well, he has his driver's license now. I was told, and is driving Jeff Brom down here, his 16-year-old son.
That's good to know.
I wanted to ask Rick, because I know you wrote about this. I haven't had the chance to talk to you probably, I don't know if it was 2-3 months ago. It's been a while. But when Jeff Brom was asked that question about Louisville, and he said, things have changed, kind of all options are on the table. But when I read that, I don't think Jeff Brom's really a guy to ruffle a lot of feathers. So I felt like he's not going to say, no, I'm never coming back. He's not going to trash his home city or dismiss it. I mean, did you get that same sort of thing? Like he was just kind of appeasing the crowd, or do you think it's a legitimate option if the timing's right, if the job's right, he would leave Purdue?
Yeah, I mean, until all the conference stuff kicked up, I thought for sure it was a legitimate option because of his affinity for the University of Louisville. Dad played here. Dad still lives here. His in-laws live here. He and both of his brothers still have homes here. I think he would listen to him a little bit differently this time. I think the last time, my gut feeling is he would have come, but it was only 2 years into his time at Purdue, and he felt like that wouldn't be a fair thing to do to Purdue. I think this time he would listen, but we'll see what happens. A lot of heat on. We talk about how big IU Illinois is, or Purdue, Penn State. Louisville's first 3 games are critical. They play at Syracuse, at Central Florida, and then they have Florida State at home. They need to get off to a good start because you know how it is these days with fan bases. If you don't get off to a good start, the red meat's dropped into the water on social media.
Yeah, Louisville, again, like I said, what does the future hold for them conference-wise?
Right.
In the ACC now, which is not yielding a lot of power on the football side, and Louisville is not, they're not a high academic institution, and the football program is not rolling right now, so they're not exactly a prize peach for someone to pluck. So that's going to be very interesting how that turns out with Jeff.
And you said Jeff's up at 11, huh? So only 32 minutes away.
You'd be up while they're live, man. Rick, I can't thank you enough. I'll let you go so you can get the popcorn ready to watch Jeff and the rest of the Big Ten.
Orville Redenbacher Purdue popcorn, buddy.
Oh, man, was he a Purdue guy?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, everybody in that part of the
well, there's a lot made down there in New Salisbury and down there, Palmyra. Lots of them out there, baby. Lots of popcorn out there.
I think Orville was from Valparaiso, though, and that's Purdue country.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, he made a good popcorn. I'll give him that. But
he did.
But Rick, thank you very much. Make sure you go to WDRB.com to give Rick a follow. If you don't already, you're missing out. Rick, thank you so much, sir, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, man.
Bye-bye.
You bet. Rick Bozich joining us here from WDRB.com. It has been another fun day with Dustin Schutte and everybody else. I cannot thank everyone enough. Big thanks to Scott Dolson, Indiana's athletic director, Gary Stokan, the CEO from the Peach Bowl. Let's see. Did we have anybody else on?
Kravitz.
Bob Kravitz. Got to thank Bob. He made it, suffering through. He's a trooper. I hope he got his Bloody Mary. Thanks to Joe, the producer, for helping out up here. Thanks to Dustin Schutte. Thanks to John, the producer. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. We'll be back again tomorrow, back in the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Then Monday, as you heard, is Indiana Football Media Day, so we'll probably be coming to you from Memorial Stadium next Monday. And then Tuesday's practice is open. I may have to do all the open practices from out there as well. So it's going to be a lot of getting up early, man. Not looking forward to it. But looking forward to doing this as much as often. I can't wait. Dustin, thanks, brother. It was a blast as always.
It always is, and I'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? So I'll be here again tomorrow.
What a bonus. Triple crown, baby. You guys go out and have yourselves a great day. I appreciate you so much. And we're back tomorrow to do it. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.